And it is.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Voxy. This is Courtney Hacker speaking. Thank you for joining today. We're just doing an audio check, so please let us know in the chat box or feel free to speak up and confirm that you can hear us clearly. We will begin in about 3 minutes. At this time, I see we have 1 attendee, possibly 2. Hello, Alvin and Margie. Can you both hear me?
They both indicated that they can hear you.
Oh, good news. Are we muted? I don't believe so, Margie. You may have yourself muted. Let's see. I am going to, I think I just unmuted her.
Can you hear me now?
I sure can. Hi, Alvin. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Great. Well, thank you for joining.
No problem. I'm
We
glad.
just have a couple people on with us today, and hopefully Margie will, I see that she's chatted and I've unmuted her, so she should be able to talk with us. So Alvin, what interests you with Voxy? Are you currently utilizing Voxy? Are you activated or just learning about Voxy?
I'm just learning about it. We just recently started over here in Pearland in Texas. We're using the New Readers Press online learning platform for the GED stuff, and I'm just trying to get myself familiar with all of the stuff you guys got going, just in case we have discussions.
Perfect. Well, great. Well, thank you for joining with us today, and feel free after today and at any time to let us know if you have more questions. Sometimes it's really helpful just, if you reach out one-on-one so we can make sure, but it looks like we're going to have a fairly small group here today.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm really trying to do, see if I can meet people, and so if I have questions or anything, I know who to refer to.
Perfect. Yes. So I will share my email address, and if you don't already have it, and feel free to reach out. So sometimes it's best to learn something just one-on-one, but today should, and I hope, be very helpful.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. See, we're getting some more folks to join, and we are right now at 3 o'clock.
By the way, Courtney, since you logged on first, you are the host and you have the controls. So if you want to unmute participants, I can't do that for you, but clearly you can.
Yeah, I'm just kind of clicking around, hoping that everybody would talk. I would love for everybody to chime in and ask questions. So it's a little unmute, mute. So I think I'm working to, sometimes it's allowing me, I think as people are joining, it is allowing me to do that. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know I have Dan Helms on with us today. Dan is our director at New Readers Press. So Dan will be joining and assisting with answering questions and monitoring the chat box. But please feel free to interrupt at any time and answer questions or ask questions as they pop into your head. I love to be interrupted, and I love when questions are asked, because quite frankly, that is how I learn and how I feel it's more interactive.
Okay, cool.
Exactly, thank you. So let's go ahead and get started. As I said before, for those who were on, and we have some more joining us, welcome to Voxy. I'm gonna go ahead and shrink down this window here. So let's get started. When you would first activate, you would receive a redemption code. And on our next slide here, I'm going to talk about what a redemption code is. But after you would activate, you would meet with me or with somebody from New Readers Press, and we would train and work with you on student activation using a redemption code. And then after that point, we will share a user guide that also shows an alternate way to have student activation, and that would be through the command center. So Voxy has a student site at app.voxy.com, and the instructor site is the Voxy Command Center at commandcenter.voxy.com. And in the command center, you can add a single learner, and there's a little screenshot here of how to do so. In the command center, if you choose to add a learner, that learner must have an active email address, because that learner would receive an activation email through that activation process. If they do not have an active email, this is not an option. So to alleviate that and to make the activation process a little more simpler for those students, we have an option of redemption code. A redemption code allows an instructor to activate students using a fictitious email address, but that instructor does need to keep track of all information that they would use during the activation process. Reason being is if that learner does not have an active email address and you were to, if they were to lose their password and you had not saved that password, we would have a difficult time sending a password reset. This redemption code process is the best method to use with learners who have limited English proficiency or those learners who may have a lower level of digital literacy skills. So this just takes some of that anxiety and frustration that may be there with the initial onboarding and activation process. So going through just these screenshots have been very helpful within the training, just to simply show the steps of redemption codes. So once you would enter an email address, even if that is a fictitious email address, Voxy is going to say, well, it looks like you have not set up your account yet. Do you have a redemption code? You, of course, would say, yes, I do. And those redemption codes, once again, would be provided originally from Voxy and then from your New Readers Press representative. We would then enter that redemption code right in the box. And at that point, as an instructor, you are finished. You have activated your students. Now, at that time, your student would go and they would log in at Voxy or app.voxy.com or www.voxy.com/go, and they would then complete this needs analysis. And what the needs analysis does is it just, I also call it an interest analysis, because it's going to walk the student through what their goals are, what they're interested in. As you can see, some simple questions. Where do you live? What is your age? How many years of English education have you had? The Voxy system is automatically getting to know you, and the personalization feature has begun. Personal goals are addressed. This is an opportunity that I also recommend that tutors or instructors, I recommend that they walk through this process with each student to determine goals and to set up expectations for both the student and the instructor. It's a great opportunity to do so. Here we are with the interest, and what this is going to do is going to build some unit topics that we'll talk about here in just a little bit as we continue to learn more about Voxy. Now we're going to talk about English abilities in this needs analysis. It is very important that we are honest, and this is another reason that it's important to join in if you are able to really guide students to make sure that they're painting the best picture for Voxy for that personalization experience. As students answer each question, Voxy is updating their profile, and that their pathway is becoming more personalized. The personalization feature of Voxy is wonderful. So at this point, after you do a needs analysis, Voxy is going to tentatively place you at a level based off of the answers you have selected during that needs analysis. Some personalized content, these will be those unit topics that we'll see how that shapes up in the Voxy platform. And then if you do have curriculum plus live instruction licensing, you'll have credits available to you for your group classes per month. There are two different types of licensing, curriculum and then curriculum plus live instruction. So this is what after you complete the Voxy needs analysis, this is what the student dashboard looks like. You have my units and your tab bar at the top, and then here are those 3 unit topics. So every time your student were to log into Voxy and they look at their screen, whether that's on the mobile app that they download to their smartphone or their mobile device, or when they log in each time, they are presented with areas of interest to them. As I mentioned, the download of the mobile app is important. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week availability. Short, frequent study is proven to be the best way to learn. The data, of course, changes every time you check, but the amount of time that we know we all spend on our phone, something that I personally have tried to be better at, of not looking at my phone all the time. But short, frequent study is much more effective to learning. Voxy knows this. If you download the mobile app and you have it on the go and you're able to work, proficiency levels will increase. Also, on our New Readers Press app, we have video, simple video instructions for how to download the mobile app on an Android and also on an Apple device. So here's more of a breakdown of our tabs across the top. Once again, these are these unit topics that are determined during the needs analysis. This is that top dashboard where students can navigate their units of study. The catalog. Under the catalog, we have courses, those personalized units, and real media. One question that I often get is, well, I did the needs analysis and they recommended, Voxy recommended food and drink, world news, and shopping. Well, am I locked into those? Do I have to stay with those? Answer being no. Right under the catalog, you can easily swap out areas that are of more interest, and I can show when we go live how to do that. Under the practice tab, we have a grammar guide and word banks for vocabulary practice. Live instruction I referred to earlier, that's a different type of license where private licensing, private tutor instruction, and group classes are offered. And performance is a snapshot of progress in a very clean way of determining the whole student experience. You can click on the performance dashboard, and I'll do so here in a little bit, where you can see everything that that learner is doing. The performance tab is a wonderful reference for tutors who may just be working with one student. This is a really neat feature. The VPA we're going to go on to talk about, and this is where Voxy can automatically place you in the Voxy system based off of the level that you score on when you take your VPA or Voxy Proficiency Assessment. The VPA will check your proficiency level. It should take about 30 to 45 minutes to complete. And it focuses on listening, reading comprehension, grammatical knowledge, and the oral proficiency test. It does need to be taken on a computer, and the computer should have a microphone. If not, you just need to reach out to me or your New Readers Press representative, and we can work with Voxy on making adaptations for you to be able to take the proficiency assessment, such as turning off the oral proficiency portion, and that does not affect your overall score. The VPA is correlated to other tests. So if you would like, you're always, upon activation, offered a placement guide, and perhaps a student does not have access right away to a computer. You can go ahead and in the command center level manually based off of scores that you may already have in place. And here's our placement guide. This is sometimes a recommendation, especially if you are a lower level student. The VPA can be a little cumbersome, can take, of course, longer than the 30 to 45 minutes. So some instructors use their best judgment to manually place, and then as students become more comfortable, you can then take the VPA. So looking at my units, those are once again are those areas of focus based off of the needs analysis that the learner took at activation. These are called their personalized units. The catalog is courses that are of sequence lessons. They begin at the very beginning level and go to the advanced level. Personalized units are offered under the catalog. And real media. Real media is a fan favorite. Students love real media. It's videos, conversations, and articles, and activities are gathered throughout. The practice tab, once again, with the grammar guide, you can see some little snapshots and the word bank. There's a flashcard feature within the practice tab. that is also something that students really enjoy. Live instruction with our group classes and private classes. And once again, this is an additional type of licensing. Here's a little snapshot of that performance tab I was referring to, and I will show you when we go over to the Voxy website what that looks like and it would be on my personal Voxy experience. Learner support. If support is available for the learner through Voxy 24/7 and also through your New Readers Press representatives. Up at the top corner, there's a question mark. This question mark will reach you, will connect you to the Learner Help Center. And if you click in the lower right-hand corner, the support will take you to a live chat. Also, at the point of activation, we will share with you our New Readers Press study plan, which offers wonderful guidelines in a study option plan with curriculum licensing or with curriculum plus licensing. And once again, that would all be at the New Readers Press website. This is also under technical support, where I mentioned the videos that help you walk through the downloading of the app. And here's the placement chart. All of this is provided to you when you activate. Any questions?
No, I'm following pretty good. You're doing
Great.
a good job.
Thank you. What are you thinking so far with Voxy? It sounds like this was your first interaction.
Well, the way the assessment, the initial assessment when the student comes in ties them to some kind of organized curriculum or pathway to start applying themselves to the platform seems to be a pretty what do they call that, student-friendly type of transition for them.
Yes, very
You know,
student, very user-friendly.
because a lot of times they're compartmentalizing their social activities, and for language speakers to start them off in maybe a zone that they're familiar with or a little bit more savvy about helps them make that transition to broader language skills.
You're
So,
exactly right.
so I was thinking that that's a pretty cool way to, without the administration having to get into so much paperwork and teachers have to do the interviews and teachers just can sort of figure that out by looking at their profile or looking at how they answered inside of this and what the system has already organized for them, and then sort of take that into the classroom too. If they, if once they figure out a way to make a hybrid of using technology and if we ever get back to classrooms, how to integrate that and make it work for them, where they're not just, where the teachers don't say, oh my God, we got to do this assessment, we got to do this. Well, the assessment's sort of built in.
Sure, and Voxy does take a lot of that work. It kind of completes that for you and builds that personalized experience, but you're exactly right. It's perfect for a time where you may be 100% virtual, but there's also a way, in many organizations, Voxy just offers the freedom and flexibility to do what's best for you and your organization or your teaching style. So I've hopped over to the live Voxy dashboard. This is my Voxy dashboard. You can see my unit topics of instruction here. And there's just, the best thing to do is just to really show you Voxy, and so you can really see this for itself. The platform speaks for itself and is very impressive. And in a few minutes, I do want to show the command center, because you mentioned paperwork, and oh, I was a former teacher. I know what paperwork and data, but the command center really is so user friendly to be able to take care of that for you. And I want to show you that as well. So let's take a minute to look at the Voxy experience here. So here you can see my my units tab is featured. That's where we're seeing these 3 unit topics. So my first one, politics. I'll be honest with you, my needs analysis was of course completed many months ago, maybe even at this point over a year ago. I don't remember what Voxy put as my 3 topic units, but I go in and I interchange them all the time for the purposes of showing what Voxy does have to offer. So for politics here, I'm on lesson 1 of 24 total lessons under this unit. I can look here, well, this looks pretty interesting to me. However, what's interesting to me may not be interesting to somebody else under the umbrella of politics. This is such a neat feature that Voxy provides. This is a shuffle feature. I can shuffle through and find alternate articles under my same umbrella of unit topic.
Mm-hmm.
Going in, I can still complete activities based off of what I am interested in. This
After an uncertain season on and off the pitch.
And as I watch that video and I complete that video, I can now complete this writing activity.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm no longer interested in that, I've gone through, I've looked to see what I've seen, it's just not working for me, I can go over to catalog, I can go into personalized units, and I can select something that I am excited about, that I want to complete. Of course, it is a best practice to complete all lessons within that unit and have unit completion. But how this works is I can have 3 units open at one time. Perhaps I want to learn more about the environment. All I need to do is override or replace. And now, when I go back, just to show, when I go back to my units, I now have the ones that are of interest to me.
Mm-hmm.
Courses, like I said, from the PowerPoint at the beginning level, and I don't want to make anybody car sick as we go along here, but it goes all the way to the advanced level. Now, I don't know if you noticed or not, but there were some lock boxes over to the side. That means it's above my current level as a learner. So Voxy is not going to put you in a position where you are electing a class or a unit topic or a lesson that is above your level. It's going to streamline for what's most appropriate for you at your level. And of course, as you work in the platform, you will advance and gain those proficiency levels using the VPA. So then the lock boxes are removed as you advance. Here's real media. This is such a fun topic, and I always recommend that instructors, after the students take the needs analysis, I always recommend they go to real media first as just a kind of icebreaker and an introduction to Voxy. Fun activities. Now you will notice, get more familiar in Voxy, these activities, they do kind of compilate based off of your needs analysis and what you're doing in Voxy. So as you express interest, it further personalizes and it's building those real media articles for you. So what's going to be coming up, you're going to see is comparable to what you've selected and what you're interested in along the way. So as I said, these can be articles. That little icon down there is showing us this is an article. This is a video. This is a conversation, an office issue that will show a conversation that's taking place between 2 people. Voxy will read this out loud to you. I've had instructors say that they don't use the read aloud feature. They use this as kind of an interactive reading activity with students, which I think is a great way to utilize Voxy. And then they follow up with that lesson. All of these lessons count as activities in time completion towards that total hours of study. Into practice is the grammar guide. This is a great opportunity for blended instruction, small group instruction. And you can start at the very beginning level and then all the way down into these different unit skills. One area that I love to point out is perhaps you're doing a whole group instruction on nouns. You can then small group meet with your students based off of each student's Voxy level and break into small groups if your organization is planned out that way. You can go in and have a small group instruction on a specific skill, and then as a follow-up activity for confirmation of student understanding, there is a lesson in association with each Voxy skill in the grammar guide. How cool is that? So this specific lesson right here is on the topic of plural nouns. Follow-up activity. I mentioned the word bank where that flashcard practice comes into play. You can look at, we all know repetition. Repetition is a proven way to learn. Voxy knows this and has put in a feature where
having dinner.
You can even click for more information. The student can say, I really just don't feel comfortable with this yet, or I know that I know this. And then as they go in, they can filter through what they feel the most comfortable for. They can even talk with an instructor or a tutor, or just, as they advance for themselves, quizzing themselves on what they feel they need improvement on, they can pick a category. This also brings me to mind of a feature that Voxy has to offer. Up this circle here, this is where students can log out, but this is also a great opportunity to show how the Voxy dashboard can appear differently based off of a student's native language. So I'll just, for the sake of time, I'm just picking one that comes to me first. It's automatic. So if an instructor is meeting with their student and the instructor may not be fluent in Chinese, so this is helpful to a student who's working independently, but when they're working with a tutor or when they're working with their instructor, they can turn off that native language feature so they can best assist. While I have this native language feature here, let's say I see the word accepted. Voxy is reading the word to me and I'm just not able to place that. I can type the word in, hit translate, and in my native language.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yep, that's a pretty neat feature the offers. And once again, it's just the click of a button where you can change that. So I'm gonna go back in and change my native language back to English so we can see how that works. Here's this live instruction feature. Live instruction offers group classes where students can go in and they can reserve a time. And once again, those areas of interest that are going to come up are going to have a clear pathway of what each student is interested in. So my Voxy platform is going to most likely be different than Dan's Voxy platform or by a fellow colleague. We're going to have our own personalized feature. So when they go in and sign up for a group class, they might not have the same choices, but I could reserve a class with somebody who is a Voxy student out there in this world who has the same interests I do. And we can join a class together, picking the day of the week, a time, and
Can I ask you a question right here?
of course.
If they do that, if they get on, when they get on and they pick a time, is that a do they have preset times, or is that a time and they wait for other students to sort of collect around that time or aggregate around that time?
they go in and they sign up. So they're going to pick their day of the week, and they're going to pick a start time, and then other students are able to join as they sign up for group courses.
Okay.
Yes. Now, with the private feature, that offers more, it's very exclusive. So we always have a featured teacher. You don't have to choose this teacher. You can go over here. It's going to pop up with your time zone, because once again, you know, Voxy is used all over the world. And so you're going to pick your time zone, and then you can scroll through and you can pick a tutor that you are comfortable with. You're going to sign up for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 1 hour, and those are equivalent to credits.
Right.
And you pick a tutor and you meet with that tutor, and then you receive feedback from the tutor. And then the next time you would choose, you're not locked in to a specific tutor. If you want to continue with the same tutor, you can, or you can choose different tutors.
And this is do they get tutors inside of the group, the thing we were looking at earlier, just a few minutes of the last?
In group classes. So these are going to be instructors who, and they very well could be a tutor that does private tutoring that is also instructing a group class. So with a group class, you're going to have multiple other students. With that private lesson, it is just the student and one tutor for private instruction.
Okay.
And here we go to this performance tab, which I love the performance tab, and I rely heavily on it when training, especially with volunteer tutors, with one-on-one tutors, because you click on that performance tab and it gives you a nice clean snapshot of everything that is going on with that one individual student. So if an instructor is wanting to look at a group of 10 students, this is not where they're going to go. If they're wanting to look for one student's performance and pathway in the Voxy platform, they're going to go here. So we're seeing those 3 unit topics of what they're working on right now. You know, I see that you are going to get started in the environment, and we want to make sure that they have, of course, completed those units. Hopefully they're better students than what I have been. The skill performance shows everything that's going on in the platform, and then their study time. You also get feedback if you have that curriculum plus live instruction. This is also an opportunity where you can filter through. If you want to see just what has gone on in 1 week's time, you can see that. Same thing over here in total study time. The performance tab also offers more in-depth information about those 3 unit topics, those 3 areas of interest, and then your level in the Voxy system. So I have myself placed at this high intermediate level. It's going to show where I'm at in comparison. It's going to give me some information about my BPA score, where I scored initially, and when I'm ready to take the next test. A student has the ability to prompt the test at any time. So there we see the student experience. This is what the students will see, and as an instructor, you will receive access to the student experience as an instructor. Questions that I can help with before we move on?
I don't see any questions, Courtney, but I would like to let you know that you've got about 4 folks who are still on mute. If you want to take this pause, unmute them.
And I am trying to.
Oh, click on participants.
Attendees, participants. I'm on participants. Here's our participants. Unmute.
Yeah, now
what am I
you
doing wrong?
Now you
muted themselves.
You're down to only 2, and that's Blanca and Melinda, and maybe they've muted themselves. I just thought I would mention.
I know Blanca. Hi, Blanca.
But they can
Okay,
always.
Blanca's been unmuted.
Oh, okay. They can always submit a question in chat too.
Yeah, anybody has any ideas, or if they possibly they have muted themselves, I'm not sure. But if anybody has ideas of how I can fix that, please let me know. So I have now gone back to my PowerPoint, and I didn't have this saved where I was, so let me find my place. And sorry about this. We're going to take a look at, oh, now it goes right where I was. Back to the Voxy Command Center. So we're going to take a look now at what the Command Center has to offer, and then I will take you to the Command Center and show you some neat features within the Command Center. So once we get students active, once they get in and they take that needs analysis and they have an opportunity to start working and perhaps even take the VPA, we can now go into the Command Center and you receive access to the Command Center as an instructor with your activation email. But once the students begin working, you can now go into the Command Center and check on their progress. The main dashboard is where you can filter through and look at exactly what information you would like to see. This table icon, I call it the book. Anybody who's done training with me or has met with me knows I always refer to this as the filter, and I always refer to this as a book, but I believe Voxy does refer to it as the table icon. And the reason they refer to it as a table icon is because it's almost like a table of contents where you break down each individual area that you're interested in viewing in the Command Center. One thing to remember in the Command Center is that there is a slight time delay between adding students, deactivating students, and certain other features within the Command Center may not be in real time. So it's not that you've done anything incorrectly, it's just it takes a couple of hours, sometimes longer, for it to appear in the Command Center. So up at that table feature, or the book as I call it, you'll have a drop-down menu. Anything you select in this feature, in this menu, will populate and will give you the data that you are asking. So of course, the more you select, the more in-depth your report's going to be. So VPA scores, number of VPAs that a student has taken, number of, if they have curriculum plus live instruction, their group classes, private classes, hours, total hours studied, engagement level. When we're first starting off, it's really important to be monitoring the engagement level and the total hours studied to make sure everybody's getting a good start and getting comfortable in Voxy. There's also a feature with the date range. This is customizable, just like we saw in the student experience under the performance tab. Here is an individual learners report. You can click on the email address, and then if you go into the pencil icon, this is going to open up an individual learners report. We're always going to want to look and make sure we're in the correct feature group, the group of your organization. Click on the pencil, that's where passwords, VPAs, any kind of edits. Perhaps you made a mistake on an email, perhaps the learner has a new email address. Those are all areas that can be fully editable in by clicking on this pencil, and this is exactly what pops up. You can correct name spelling. A lot of times, you know, names are misspelled during activation. That can all be fixed. Email addresses can be fixed if they were entered incorrectly. Just more examples of how to edit a learner's profile. And one important thing to remember is that if you purchase licenses and you have a student who withdraws, moves away, or is for whatever reason no longer able to continue utilizing Voxy, you don't lose that license. That license can be reassigned. So you simply would go to the learner's profile, and this is of course all included in your training, but you can change their expiration date to tomorrow's date. And then you would move them to your organization's deactivated feature groups. Within the command center, everything is referred to as a feature group. So your organization would have an administrative feature group, your class where your students are housed, a feature group for your students, and then it would have this deactivated feature group. And that's where we would store students who have withdrawn or are no longer able to continue utilizing their Voxy license, because you know what? They may come back. We don't want them to have to start over at the very beginning. We can just simply, we have a place where we're storing their information in their account in case they do return. Within the command center, at the very bottom, we have a level of engagement where it gives us a little bit more in-depth information about each individual learner. We can see how engaged the learner is, total hours studied, and where the learner has spent time working. To the best of my knowledge, this section here, because I do recognize some names on here today, and I know that you're already working in the Voxy system, this is updated monthly. And to the best of my knowledge, that is still a monthly update. So don't panic if you check and you see you're not seeing it reflective of what is going on in total hours studied in the data. Here's an overview where we can look at reports and we can see exactly what's going on as a whole organization within the command center. That's really handy if you have more than one class in an organization. And some more categories of group performance. Each month, a total time on task report is emailed to you. Most likely this would be coming from me or another representative from New Readers Press. And this will be mailed to you, emailed to you each month, showing each individual student's total time for the month. So in summary, with Voxy, you will be enabled to drive enrollment, increase student retention, and modernize your school. We know ESL learners are unique, all students are unique, and with Voxy, your courses and instruction will be too, with amazing personalized digital platform. Any questions?
No, I'm pretty good.
Here I am. I'm gonna go back in. I'm now switching over to the command center because I want to have an opportunity to show you what the command center has to offer. Have a little bit more time here. So here's the command center, and I have one of our organizations up that each student, I don't have names or feature groups selected, but over here at the table is what we referred to on the PowerPoint presentation, is where all of that information can be selected. This organization does have private instruction, so we could see, I could click how many credits have been used. I can even say what date did each individual student join. Once again, everything I select here is going to be populated into this report. I can look and see what was their first VPA level. I can say when was their last VPA level. How many VPAs have they taken? Have they participated in group classes? Have they participated in any private classes? So I can look at a snapshot of the full feature group. This is a full class. That information back to our paperwork and record keeping, and we all know it's important for the ease of that. You can click this down arrow and you can send whatever you've selected in an Excel document that will be emailed to the instructor. once again, customizable. So if I want to customize my date, let's say I want to know exactly what happened during just this week, September 21st to 25th, within this organization. The command center is searching for that information. And here I know just what went on just that one particular week. Back over into reports. That's some more in-depth information within. It's a little bit more personalized to each individual organization, and we can also filter through just to look at one specific student. Any questions on the command center?
No.
Here is where, once again, as a reminder, where we can add a learner. We recommend redemption codes, but as you get comfortable with Voxy and as you get to know your students, and if you have a new student, you may feel that this is an appropriate way to activate learners. And it's just very simple by the click of a button where you would have your feature group and you would go in and you would add a single learner, making sure you select that feature group, fill in the information, hit submit. At that time, that learner does receive an activation email, and they activate through an email activation as instructors do. The redemption code just really takes that initial step off of the shoulders of a student, and the instructor does the work for them, and they can just then go ahead and get started in Voxy. Looking at an individual learner's report, I can look at myself. So you can just simply in this search bar, type in any learner's email address. So my email is chacker@proliteracy.org, and I search for myself. And once the command center finds me, I can open up my own. I'm sorry, Dan, what did you say?
I said, I hope, Courtney, that one day you do find yourself.
He's still cutting out on me. Did he say he hopes he finds me there?
He hopes you find yourself.
Yeah, I hope I find myself. Some days are better than others, right? So here's my individual learner profile. Here's my information. And as we referred to in the PowerPoint, I can hit the pencil button. And here's everything about me. Perhaps, you know, my email has changed. I could edit that here. I can go through and at the click of a button, change my level. We don't recommend that you change that level. You know, perhaps if it's just really too high for a student at this high intermediate level, you could bump it down to a low intermediate level. That, of course, is a conversation between an instructor and student. But as an instructor, you would have the ability to make that pathway a little easier for the student if they feel more comfortable at a level lower. Most of the time, from what I'm hearing, the VPA is really spot on, and it's a great indication of a student's performance within the Voxy system. But if you have that concern in the back of your mind, there is that ability that you can go ahead and change that level. I wouldn't recommend doing more than 2 levels. When I've reached out to Voxy to ask about that, they've said it's okay to go down maybe 1, but when you start changing manually from more than 1, it starts to take the authentic personalization side away from the Voxy platform. Right here, once again, is where if you have a student who is not able to continue in Voxy, you just simply change this expiration date to tomorrow's date. So I would just simply change this to October the 8th, and then I would go and put myself in that deactivated group. So I see that my Voxy license is getting ready to expire November the 6th. So I need to check in and make sure I know what to do and make sure that I don't become expired. Any questions at all before I kind of go on just a little bit more about the command center? We still have a little bit more time. I want to make sure anybody that has questions about anything is asking.
No, I'm good.
Sounds good. Right here is where we, in the PowerPoint, that snapshot where it's telling me a little bit more about my proficiency level, where I'm at. I need to be taking another VPA. I'm not staying on task with my VPA here. And then here's this very bottom section. So if you go into an individual learner's profile, this bottom section is not always reflective of the complete picture, but is updated to monthly. That will show more data.
That's a pretty cool graph. That's pretty cool. You get that graph layout.
Yeah.
So you can just see it at a glance. You can figure it out at a glance and not have to scan across and locate numbers and percentages and stuff.
Absolutely. Yep. The command center is a really nice feature for instructors. You know, of course, students are never going to go to the command center. They wouldn't have access to the command center. One aspect that I just recently learned, because we just reached out and as a team, we're discussing some different ways that Voxy can once again further provide a personalized feature to an organization. And some organizations just are tutor based. So you of course want the tutor to have access to the student experience so they can best guide and plan for their tutoring, but you may not necessarily want the tutor to have access to all data in the command center for that organization. So Voxy does offer where you can have that student access, but you as an instructor, but you don't have the command center access. So there's so many customizable features that Voxy has to offer. And during the onboarding process, we would really work through and customize the Voxy platform to best meet the needs of your organization. How are you doing? Any questions I can help with?
I haven't seen any questions, Courtney, but I've got to tell you, I initially, when Courtney started doing this, I taught her how to use Voxy, and now she's teaching me things. She's the expert at it. But if you've covered something you're going to cover, may I ask a favor? I'd love to show them my new favorite feature.
Yes, please. I would love for you to do that.
Well, if you'll stop,
Want me to?
I will share mine. All right.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can do
And
this.
I know what you're going to show, and I'm excited.
All right, so can you see my command center now?
Yeah.
All right, so there's just one thing that I want to show everybody on the call, and that is over here, this Lessons tab. So when I click on this Lessons tab, what's going to happen is I'm going to, here's the incredible thing about Voxy. Every single day, every day, new content is added. Look, Eddie Van Halen is already on here.
Wow.
These are lessons that are added every day. Now, what if I'm one of those tutors that Courtney was talking about, and I'm working with a student, and I know that that student, look, I can change the level that I'm looking at. I'm just going to focus on the beginning, ESL to low beginning. This is a student that I'm working with. I know the student responds better to videos than reading. So I've got conversations, I've got media, like print media, I'm audio, and I've got video. So I'm going to click on video. Now, what about, I could search for a keyword if I wanted to, you know, like some kind of verb or whatever. Or I could just look for tags that already exist. So I know that there's one in here, I found it the other day on PQRSTU, using time, understanding, I think it was called use time
You
expression.
just were there. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so many people have trouble, you know, with time, and so now, what do I want to do? Well, look here, checking the train schedule. I live in a city. I'm working with a student there, so I'm going to click on that, and if I am logged in, if I have a login, it takes me straight to that lesson. But this is the entire lesson. There's more. So let me move my toolbar out of the way here, because Courtney had this happen to her recently. When you're in Zoom, this toolbar gets in your way. There we go. Go back to Voxy. There's a little how-to help. And if I click on that, and I can read about these lesson activities, I can also look at the kinds of activities that are available. What is it? Oh, look, this is a flashcard activity. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to that activity. I'm going to add that, it's called a slug. I'm going to add that slug to the end right there of that activity. Now, I'm going to copy that whole thing. Watch what I can do here. So now I'm going to go back to my chat. And where is chat? Here's chat. And Courtney, in the chat, I am putting that URL. And so let me send that to you. It has been sent. I'm going to stop sharing now. You can take back the share. And if you just open chat and click on that link, they'll see what I just sent you. And so I know that Courtney is a student who likes video lessons. I know the level she's working at. I have an idea of the kinds of things that interest her. And I can create an activity for her, because for every one of those lessons, there are up to 28 activities that they create for every one of these lessons. And so I just created one for her that is based on a flashcard activity. And so there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Checking the train schedule. This is a brand spanking new feature that Voxy has just come out with. So we're learning, but this is a neat feature to see.
It is.
So that's all I wanted to say. Courtney, you've done a fantastic job. I appreciate your work.
Thank you very much. And thank you all who joined today. Many names I recognize, and I've worked with some of you, and you have my information. Please reach out to us if you have any questions that you think of, anything we can help with at all.
Thank you, Courtney. This is Blanca at YCLC.
Hi, Blanca. I recognized your name. I'm glad that you were able. Just out of curiosity, were you muted the whole time when I was trying to unmute you?
You know what? Yes, I bought myself a new pair of it's a mic. It's a combination of mic and headphones. And it does have like an additional button to mute besides the muting on the Zoom. So I'm like, I'm here, I can listen. I'm like, what? And all of a sudden I turn around, like it's on red. So you guys couldn't even hear me,
well,
or I couldn't.
I was just sitting there clicking and clicking, and I thought, okay, it's not working for me, so that must be why. But
yes, and to turn on, I'm like, what's going on with my mic? They're brand new. Well, there's an extra button it's connected. It's a part of the headphone set, and it was on. So I was speaking, but nobody could hear me.
well, we got it figured out. I'm glad you're able to talk with us now. You have any questions at all, Blanca? Is everything going okay?
Yeah, everything's going okay. You know, again, we learn new stuff every time. So
me too.
Right? Yeah, I agree. I was impressed with that. You know, well, this sat note this morning, right? But it's that up to date. You know, I was impressed
Yes.
right now with that article.
Very real time. Yeah, constantly updated. I've gone on before, like I've shared with you in training, and you'll see like 2 minutes ago. I mean, it's just amazing, and students love it. So I hope your students are enjoying it.
They sure are. They sure are.
Good.
And I'm just glad that they were able to, because of course at the beginning there were some hiccups here and there with, you know, even how to be you know, before we were using the go ahead and email activation. Well, now after we got the codes, then I was able to work with the codes. But at the beginning, it was like email activation. You know, these are students that they're not technology inclined, so they had those little challenges here and there.
Sure. And hopefully the redemption code, you know, took some of that burden off for initial activation as they get a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I think that helped a lot, especially for the low beginning. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Courtney. You did great.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day today.
Thank you, Courtney.
You too.
You have a great day. And you too, Dan.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.